In Afghanistan in 2001, the 5th Special Forces Group accomplished what at the time seemed impossible. In just 2 months, they invaded Afghanistan and toppled the Taliban regime. I'm Major Jason Amerine, commander of Operational Detachment Alpha 574. Our mission was to set the condition for a democratic government to stand up in Afghanistan.
Valor and courage against overwhelming odds would be the legacy left by Special Forces Team ODA 574 while they shaped history in Afghanistan. After the mission, the team's commander, Captain Jason Amerine, would return to the U.S. Military Academy, where his own historical journey began.
After serving in Afghanistan, I was asked to come back to West Point to teach.
It's a privilege to talk to you this afternoon. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about one part of the invasion of Afghanistan under Operation Enduring Freedom.
There's something very magical about West Point. You're walking the same halls that generals like MacArthur and Eisenhower and Patton, all these men who made up our history.
That history of an upstart nation founded on freedom and independence is alive in the gray stone edifices of the Academy at West Point and speaks softly to those of the long gray line who would come before an eager young cadet from Hawaii.
It didn't take long for the Taliban to consolidate control of the country.
West Point aims to create the total person. They challenge you academically, they challenge you militarily, they challenge you physically. You'll do things that you might otherwise not want to do. You learn about yourself as an individual and you learn about yourself as a leader.
A legacy of military service in young Jason Amerine's family inspired him to join high school ROTC as a sophomore and the Army Reserve as a junior.
From the time I was 14, I wanted to see the world and I wanted to do it as a Special Forces officer. West Point for me was the next adventure. I wanted to be under that kind of pressure. I wasn't certain I'd get through the 4 years, but I was quite sure I was going to enjoy trying.
The rigorous study and hard work at West Point would pay off.
Dismissed!
From West Point, First Lieutenant Jason Amerine would serve in Panama and Korea, but he would never lose sight of his dream. After being promoted to captain, Amerine qualified for and passed the grueling Special Forces Assessment Selection. He would earn the right to wear the Green Beret and the Special Forces tab. In November of 2001, Captain Amerine's leadership skills and knowledge would be put to the test when he was ordered to infiltrate his 12-man Special Forces team into southern Afghanistan on a critical mission early in the War on Terror.
My team's mission was to link up with a man named Hamid Karzai, who at the time none of us knew anything about. Karzai said that if you want to topple the Taliban, you want to take a town called Tarankot. It would demoralize the Taliban and they'd lose all credibility within the Pashtun tribal belt.
The citizens of Tarankot had spontaneously risen up against their Taliban mayor and taken control of the town. Karzai, with only 30 men, and Amerine with 12, knew that the Taliban would try to retake Tarankot.
So we rode out to the edge of town and we set up on just this beautiful position. Ridge line with a giant open valley. I mean, it just didn't get better than that. A Taliban convoy of about 100 trucks and about 1,000 men came pouring through the mountain pass.
From their position overlooking the valley, Amerine's unit called in American airstrikes on the Taliban convoy below.
First bomb missed, next bomb started hitting, and our guerrillas immediately jumped in their trucks and started to drive away.
In the ensuing chaos, Amerine's team had no choice but to retreat to the town with the spooked guerrilla fighters. This gave the Taliban a chance to regroup and push on towards Tarankot.
We rode back out to the edge of town, and by then, everything in theater was stacking up in the skies. It was an impressive sight. Every piece of naval air that could get to us got to us. The Taliban were not stopping. They were coming all out. We'd bomb them and they'd keep on coming. And they finally did make it to the edge of town.
As we're struggling to figure out what to do next as the Taliban are getting close, we look over and all around us, we're the key to success.
The people of the town poured out in the streets, and they seemed like a nuisance, but we realized a lot of them had guns.
My NCOs started organizing them. They got the idea, and they fought hard. We lost a dozen villagers defending their homes, but in the end, the Taliban didn't take the town, and the Taliban were defeated and forced to retreat to Kandahar.
With Terran Code secure and Karzai's credibility strengthened throughout the South, ODA 574 and a small band of Afghan freedom fighters advanced on the Taliban stronghold of Kandahar. On December 5, 2001, after weeks of fierce fighting, the Taliban sent a delegation to surrender Kandahar, signaling an end to one of the most brutal chapters in human rights history. While Hamid Karzai would go on to lead his nation, Captain Jason Amerine was awarded the Bronze Star for Valor for leading Operational Detachment Alpha 574 against overwhelming odds that resulted in the surrender of the Taliban.
I mean, the odds never felt overwhelming to me. I mean, to me, I had something better than thousands of Taliban. I had an SF team. They had thousands of fighters, but I had 10 of the best NCOs I'd ever served with. I've gotten to do more than I ever thought I would, but for me, I think teaching at West Point has been the most rewarding thing I've done in my career. When I look at the cadets, I still feel like I'm sitting in those seats. I still feel like Cadet Amerine a lot of the time.
Well, it was a privilege talking to you this afternoon. Good luck with everything.
For their heroic action in Afghanistan, the men of Operational Detachment Alpha 574 earned 3 Silver Stars, 4 Bronze Stars for Valor, 3 Bronze Stars, and 11 Purple Hearts.